Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Today we have a very special episode. We have two guests, and we have Sarah Olin, who is the CEO of LUMO, and what she does is she helps people break up with their BS. We also have Anna Connathan, who is the Chief Creative Officer of LUMO, and she helps people to channel their authentic voice so they know what to say and who to say it for. And LUMO itself is a company that helps parents get tools to stay in the workforce and helps employers to keep these parents employed. So, are you guys ready to rock?
Yes, we are ready to party.
Bring it, Abby.
That was a mouthful. All right, so let's start off on a good note. Tell me a story of success in your business that we can be inspired by.
Pandemic launch?
Sure. There are quite a bit actually, but yeah, I think pandemic is a good.
Yeah, our beginnings actually come from Sarah. Sarah is the mother of LUMO and our business, and she started it as her own personal business, which in its original origin was called Luscious Mother. And she worked her butt off for years and decided that she wanted to expand her business. So we started talking about expanding her business 2 years ago this weekend.
Yes.
And there are 5 other women, including myself, who work with Sarah at LUMO today. And we were all just sort of tangentially connected through Sarah, all trained coaches, all running our own businesses, and had been supporting Sarah in various capacities with Luscious Mother while it was still her own business. And 2 years ago, we met and decided that we were going to build the business together, that we were going to create LUMO and go beyond just supporting mothers, but also the people who employ them. And we met, we had a great brainstorming session and we all hit it off and it was amazing. And we're like, oh, we're going to launch in May of 2020. We're going to have this like amazing retreat in person. It's going to be incredible. We had all these plans. And then March of 2020 happened. And the pandemic made landfall in America. And we launched early and ugly and messy. And we became a team on Zoom. I live in Maine. Sheila lives in Seattle. Hillary was in Indianapolis. Elena and Sarah are both here in Charlotte, and Kristen was in Raleigh, Durham. And we made it work through Zoom. You know, we'd all learned how to use these tools through our coaching because we all had individual coaching practices and worked with people all over the country and all over the world. So we already knew how to use Zoom, and we hit the ground running and made it happen.
Talk about some pivoting, eh?
Yeah, it was a very strong
pivot. And we've continued to pivot several times, you know, and I'm really proud of that. And I think that's a big win where we've had to get more and more narrow and efficient in our focus. And it's been a really great exercise for me, having been a hustler, taking all kinds of jobs with all kinds of people, training leaders, saying yes to everything. I mean, I don't think I've said no in the last 8 years. And it's been a really great exercise to start to say no to things that, for me, having been a solopreneur and an entrepreneur, saying no to money is probably one of the most painful things.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have oral surgery, but I've learned how to do it. And it's actually been for the betterment of the business.
Yeah, well, niching is so important too. And you can't be everything to everybody, right? You've got to sort of pick. But totally ironic, get it.
But that's something that I think mothers in general really try to do, to be everything to everyone. So there's something sort of bittersweet and poetic about the fact that we are working mothers and we want to support working mothers, but we fall into the same tropes and pitfalls. Like, we want to show up, we want to be an awesome mother, we want to be an awesome wife, we want to do all the stuff at work and excel and make amazing Halloween costumes and also get a great birthday cake and it's humbling.
Yeah,
having to eat our own
pie.
Yeah,
I do eat. I don't make Halloween costumes. That's what I meant. I don't make Halloween costumes.
See, you got to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I made that one a long time ago.
I just threw a sheet over my son and cut holes for eyes. So, I mean,
there we go.
Well, you guys get it, right?
We do. We really do.
Right on. So now you mentioned that it was a little bit messy at the beginning, and you know, there are some bad notes that will get hit along the way. And I'm wondering if you can share some of that mess with us and how we can either avoid it or recover from it if it happens to us.
Yeah, I'll share one of our messes.
Oh, good. I can't wait to find out which one it is.
Which one? I mean, there are so many to choose from.
All learning experiences, everyone.
Yes.
All learning
100%.
Totally.
We hired some vendors that were going to support us in a particular area of the business. And my intuition said it's not the right fit. And I ignored my intuition. And
because on paper it seemed like the right people, like
it really did.
Yeah.
And $20,000 later, we couldn't get out of our contract. We lost a lot of money and
a ton of time.
It was really painful all the way around. And that to me hurts. That you want to hit me in the pocketbook, you want to hurt me, hit me in the pocketbook.
Yeah.
And it was a great learning experience though,
on a bunch of different levels. I think one is listening to your intuition.
Yes.
Knowing the difference between intuition and fear.
Yeah.
And then I think as we went in trying to communicate with them, and
we kept trying and trying and trying, and we are professional communicators. So this is what we do. My whole team, everybody, professional listeners, professional speakers, everyone was pulling their hair out. We all
went in one at a time, assuming that the one before us, like this one couldn't do it, but like, I'll go in, I'll talk to them. And I go in and be like, nope, you go. I can't, I don't just happen. It was insanity.
And it was finally, it was really rough. And we did learn.
Yes.
I will never do that again.
It was a brisk and visceral learning experience.
Well, what was the learning experience then?
Well, so I think one, it's really not rushing into decisions. And just because something looks good on paper, I think in business, when you're trying to move things forward, you do have to make decisions at a good clip and bring in the people who can fill in the gaps. But communication style, and I think that's what you were really picking up with your intuition, that even in our early calls with them, I think we assumed because it was a tech-based thing that they just, they were a little techie, a little maybe just like their social skills weren't quite the same as professional coaches, and that it would all get worked out. So I think that listening to your intuition when a red flag comes up, and it doesn't just mean cutting and running, but maybe it's like having another follow-up meeting or us having an internal meeting about what was it? What was the sand in there that was sort of gumming up the green flag, the go. And then I think once we were in it,
we stayed in it. The third lesson is
don't stay too long.
We stayed too long when we knew it wasn't working.
Yeah.
We just we were banging our face against the wall, and it's like,
and we were attached to the money. We had made that investment.
Yeah. We had a retainer of like $5,000 a month or something. So by the time, and different people own different things in the business. So I don't always get it right away. Mm-hmm. And it's like, everybody's doing their best. Everybody's showing up. It's okay. But then it's like, wait, this thing happened. All right. Are we going to, and it's, so by the time we were really hurting, we managed to save $5,000 or something, but it's.
And I think also it's knowing your team and listening to your team. Cause the first member of our team, like you get to know the people you work with, and the six of us have such different skill sets, and we fit together in this really nice Lego way. And this one member of our team, who is generally not flappable at all, was deeply flapped by the trainings we had with these people. And so like
deeply flapped.
And I was like, I'm super sensitive and a little needy. So maybe I blamed myself.
If we're like, it's.
But when Kristen was like, I'm having a really hard time communicating, we were like, oh. Yes, well, there must really be.
There must be something wrong. It's not just us.
So I think listening into your intuition, listening to your team. And then I think what we learned in hindsight is now when we onboard people, really setting up conditions for satisfaction, how you're going to communicate with each other, really getting clear, like not just that they can do the task or the thing that you need them to do, but how will the relationship be? Because relationship is everything.
Everything.
Yeah, this story is so relatable because I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to be optimistic. So we'll look at something and go like, oh yeah, this will work, and then we tend to be optimistic and overconfident as well. Like,
That's
oh,
her.
there's some issues. There's some issues with the communication, but I'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just keep on moving forward here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then both of those things, yeah. I mean, you could have all these red flags that are, and you will. I mean, I would guess that anybody who's been in this situation knew it deep down, right?
Yeah.
It's just that they're like, it's fine, it'll be fine, right?
And I think to some degree, these experiences for entrepreneurs are really important. It's like, not unlike, me telling my son that that's not safe. You don't carry the scissors like that, or the stove is hot. It is nothing compared to accidentally stabbing your hand with scissors or accidentally touching the stove and being like, that is hot,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
now we've learned some really important, incredible lessons, and that will impact how we build relationships moving forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. You're going to definitely learn the lesson if you hurt from it, right?
Yes.
And actually, you're probably going to continue to get the lesson presented to you until you.
Yes, that does seem to be the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
With parenting and business owning.
Oh yeah, it's very, very common for both those things to happen. So now, speaking of learning lessons and learning from others, how do you guys approach learning from other people, coaches, mentors, masterminds? Do you guys do any of that stuff?
We do all of that stuff. I mean, one of the things that was impressed upon me, I was trained 9 years ago to be a coach, and I loved it so much I became a trainer. And one of the philosophies of the company that trained me, they're called Accomplishment Coaching, is that every coach has a coach, right? So you've got to be handling your own scandal, working on your own backyard before you think you can go and support other people doing their own work. Because no matter how good you are, no matter how many books you've read or how many hours you've coached or whoever you've coached, you're still a human being. You still get triggered by things. You still have your own stuff to deal with. And
there's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn. There's always a new way into the conversation. And so we are huge advocates. Every single person on my team, we have 11 coaches in our coaching cohort, right? In addition to our executive team. And every single one of those people, they have a coach. They're doing their own personal and professional development weekly. And it's a condition. You cannot be a part of our company unless you're doing your own work. And years ago, well, no, it wasn't. It was 2 years ago, right? November of 19, I went and trained with Brene Brown in Texas to become a Dare to Lead facilitator. And I put my whole team through that training. I trained everybody in that, and they've gone through it more than once, many of them. So it's, and then very important.
Some of the different coaches have different specialties, and that's a nice thing for us because, like, Elena's been doing the PQ training, and
Sheila's a social worker, was a therapist for 20 years.
And Hillary has done a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So she's able to bring that. Like, it's not just about improving ourselves or improving ourselves for our clients, but it's also every time one of us brings something new in, it reinforces the connection in our team, what we're able to offer other people. And then for me, like when we did Brene Brown's training, I had read Brene's books and seen her TED Talks and liked her very much, but doing the training, sometimes training reinforces what you already know and helps strengthen skills you already have. I have been a very sensitive, empathic, drama queen, according to my parents, my whole life. And there's just a natural way that I am that was very different than my family growing up. And like Dare to Lead training blew my mind because it was like, you're all right. You have some applicable skills that can actually help humanity. You might be emotionally healthy. And I was like, oh God, Brene, thank you so much. So it was a huge confidence builder for me to reinforce something that like I innately knew, but I had been judging as not professional. Like authenticity is not professional. Like humor is not appropriate. Like all these different things. And to have somebody who I respect, who has really distilled it, used powerful research, has gotten like everyone in the world to be like, oh yes, Brene Brown, absolutely. I'm like, oh geez, thanks Brene. You just listed a huge amount of skills that I've been sort of tucking back here as soft skills, ancillary skills that only some people like. So sometimes training is good for that too, really highlighting what your strengths are.
Right on. Yeah, Brene Brown is great. My girlfriend loves her, and so I've seen
Yeah,
a bunch of
yeah,
her
she's
TED
very good.
Talks and her audiobooks as well. Yeah, she's very, very good. And yeah, I think that what happens is that when you start to grow, like business is about solving problems, and when you solve a problem, all of a sudden the next problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that's why you do have to keep on learning, because if you stop learning, then you're going to stop being able to solve bigger problems and you'll start to go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
Now,
think particularly with our relationship with coaching and the kind of coach training that we all did is changing your relationship to problems. What are the problems an access point to, or what's your level of curiosity, imagination, and resilience you can bring to the problem? And is it really a problem, or is it like a symptom of a greater breakdown that you're experiencing in a company? The symptom of a greater breakdown that you're having as an individual, as a coach with your clientele. So even just doing the training that we did changed my entire relationship to what a problem looks like, and seeing a problem as a puzzle and not as like a
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I agree 100%. Now, you mentioned earlier about everybody on your team has to have a coach. I think that's a great idea. And actually, I use the same thing when I'm looking to find people in my business. I'm like, if you don't have a coach, then I know that you're not taking your business as seriously as I think you should be taking your business, because I'm looking for people that are going to be self-starters. And if you're not growing yourself, then how can I know that you're a self-starter? So now, do you have any other tips on how you're building your bands?
We are always looking for great people. So for example, my sister-in-law is unbelievably organized, and she would be great to have as an independent contractor. Kristen, her best friend, is also super organized, potentially looking for a new job. So we're always looking for great talent. And when we see it, we start a conversation and say, hey, it might be now, it might be 6 months from now or a year from now, but we want you to know what we're doing. We like you. So just keep us in mind, because we have this, we just sold, we're in the process of finalizing a sale of a large pilot program of our online course to a very large company. And we need hands, and we've built some people over time, like the woman who does our tech. She's incredible. And we're going to tap her, and, potentially the coaches on our cohort, having them go beyond just coaching and do more dynamic things. So we're very keen on, you're a great person, you're really smart, you're really creative, you're talented. We're just gonna keep you.
We have a sense that we want to be in business with you, and often they feel the same way. And then I think the other thing, and this is an incredible skill that Elena has too, is really identifying. She is our chief everything. Well, you're a chief everything officer, but she does
really
operations.
Is.
She's our functioning
She really
CFO.
the boss. I said I was, but she really the boss.
But she can see our gaps so clearly, and because she has a long experience in the corporate world and working in HR, and just having a great idea of where people fit and what the needs are and who to match them with. She has a really strong skill of identifying those gaps and then finding those people. And then sometimes you find perfect people by using Google, like the woman who did our website.
Yes. Oh my God.
What did you Google to find her?
British girl. I don't know, lady web designer or something. Yeah. We're obsessed with her.
She was
obsessed.
Amazing. Dr. Google found her.
Oh, wow.
Thank God for the Googles.
I think it's knowing what you want, knowing what your ethos is, what your vibe is, what your spirit is as a company, and where your gaps are, and sensing who those people are who can come in and fill those gaps.
Yeah.
Well, so what I'm hearing is you're more focused on the fit of the person rather than the job that you have lined up for them.
Yeah.
So if you find somebody that you really want to work with, you'll find a way to fit them in.
Yeah, we will, because
Love it.
I mean, talent right now is like, the job market is the only thing hotter than the housing market. And I talk to a lot of people in HR and DEI regularly, and they are hurting. They can't retain talent and they can't attract talent. That's a problem.
Particularly in the parental zone.
Right.
And great thing about the millennials is they've got their own set of rules. They're not going to stick around
don't
for stuff that
care.
doesn't
No.
work. And if they're going to start a family, then they want it to look a certain way. So I am, my mom will often say derogatory things about the millennials, but I gotta say,
I'm here for the
here for the
millennials.
millennials. I'm like, burn it down, kids. I'm all about what it is you're trying to build. And I'm tired of apologizing for, oh, I'm sorry, I have kids at home and I'm trying not to. Like, my favorite thing about the pandemic is you can't keep children out of a Zoom frame.
Yeah.
We will no longer pretend we don't have children. They
Yeah.
actually live here and they're very demanding.
Yeah. Well, that topic has come up many, many times about, interruptions in the middle of meetings and stuff like that from your kids or your dog or whatever it is. And I find it endearing. It's happened a few times on the podcast. And yeah, exactly. They're kind of like going like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, this is working from home.
Yeah, babe, it is.
We've all been here.
I love my dog.
Her dog is regularly a guest star of many of our Zoom calls.
Right on. So how do you handle practicing and getting good at what you do?
It was ingrained into me that was the only way to get good, because coaching is it's not science. It's an art and a science, I think, but it's more art than science. And I was told, and I took it to heart when I was coming up, when I was training, like, the only way to get good at this is to practice. And I had a natural ability with people. People want to tell me things, people, want to open up to me, but to really change someone's life and to be able to, have that level of conversation, it is an art and a skill, and it just got ingrained in me very early. And with coaching, it's just, you have the opportunity. I mean, when I first started, I coach less now, of course, because I'm running the business, but I was coaching all day, every day. I had so many clients, it was bananas. So I was just all the time getting better and learning. And I think that, yeah, that's also part of our ethos.
Yeah. And I think we've gone to great lengths to create education constantly inside of our business. Every Friday we have our training call with our cohort of coaches, but we're not training them. Like, we all come in and you can bring stuff that's happening.
Both. We are.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's not like we're not on high.
Right.
So we're all down in the arena together, and we talk about our clients through LUMO and the work that we're doing through LUMO. But if in your private practice, you're struggling around like a money conversation, or there's a sticky place, or a client's kind of giving you the slip and not really being present with their struggles, like, we support each other, we coach each other, we give each other advice, and we're always reading books, like, and we're have a huge initiative around educating ourselves around white supremacy and the DEI conversation and belonging, and really opening up, because the 6 founders are 6 white cisgendered women, all married to their first husbands. So when we built the cohort, we intentionally went out to find women of different experiences, different backgrounds, different cultures, but we have so much learning that we need to do to sort of unpack and unravel this place that we're in. And so we read a lot. Every month we're working on a book that we bring, and we have a book club about it. Like,
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm leading the next meeting.
Oh, you're leading cast?
Yeah, which is terrible. It's a very god-awful, intense book.
It's not god awful.
It's very intense.
Is it intense?
Like it.
That's Elizabeth Wilkerson, right?
I don't know. You're gonna hate it. It's very hard. Make you cry.
So anyway, there's a lot. And I think that the community that we built inside of our organization with the 6 founders and with our extended cohort is, we're constantly in conversation and connection with each other about how we're building and improving.
Yeah.
So you're not scared to ask for help, and also,
oh God, no.
So, well, and that, I think that's important. And I mean, even with music, like with practicing for music, I mean, you got to go through a lot of pain in order to get through a hurdle and get to the next step. I always call them hurdles, but then once you do, you're like in the clear for a little while until you hit your next hurdle. And it sounds like it's similar the way that things work in coaching. The only thing though that I'm wondering is that in coaching, are you ever scared that you're going to like say the wrong thing and mess somebody up?
Oh no, we know for sure that we are going
I was going to say, I feel like I've done.
we definitely know we're going to say the wrong thing, but that's the great thing, because coaching is nothing more than a relationship. So in relationships, you say the wrong thing, and it's about cleaning it up and apologizing if you do. And, you know, we have a beautiful question that we were trained to ask at the end of 3 questions. What value did you create today? What was missing, disempowering, or incomplete? And how would you like to be acknowledged? So for the missing, it gives the client the opportunity to say, hey, that didn't work for me. Or I'll often check in, like, does that land? Did we get it? Or are we on the, and if you're Zooming, you can see. But I had a client once say, you know what, you laughed after I said this thing, and that hurt my feelings or made me feel a particular way. And I said, I'm so sorry. So the gift is we know that we will mess it up, and we
trust ourselves to clean it up.
100%.
And it's also creating that trust in the relationship with your client early.
Yeah.
When I take on a new client, I tell them, like, at some point, there'll be a brief period where I'm like your golden savior. And then one day you'll be like, you don't understand me and you've made me angry. I'm like, if I don't make you angry at some point, I'm not doing my job.
For sure.
But be honest with me and bring it, and I can handle it. So, and some people are more apt to lean into that than others, but that's one that I bring right out front, because when I first started coaching, when I was in training, I tried to have a money conversation with one of my clients who owed me money. And she freaked out and dressed me down and fired me. And I'm, like I said, I'm sensitive also, I turned bright red. There was like a red blotch crawling up my face. And I'm like, don't cry. All I wanted to do was like close my computer and walk away. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. Don't pay me. This is my first client. And she's like, oh, I am going to pay you. She was like rage. She's going to rage pay me. And I was we wrapped it up, and I was like, can we come back and have another conversation? Can we take a minute? Like, there was no minute to be had. Even talking about it, I can feel like the heat rising in my body. We finished the call. I closed the computer. I cried for like 20 minutes straight. And I was like, well, if this can happen in coaching,
I'm not doing
I just don't think that this is something that I want to do. And then after I cooled down, I went in to say goodnight to my son, because I was doing clients at night at that time because I hadn't established healthy boundaries. And and he's like, are you all right? I'm like, I just got fired. I just got like really fired in a totally embarrassing way. And he was like, are you in trouble? And I was like, no, because I own my own business.
Nice.
And he's like, well, what did you like? What happened? I was like, well, I don't need to tell you what happened, but here's what I learned. So I went immediately through it with my son. And he was like, this is a great opportunity to show my son that, like, I'm not perfect. Everyone's going to get fired sooner or later. And people are very weird about money.
People are very weird about money. Yeah.
Very strange about money. Everybody crazy about money.
Yeah. I hope that changes somehow, but I think it's some sort of programming that we have that we haven't been able to crack yet, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. And we intentionally work on it for ourselves and with others, but it's a beast.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
I highly recommend Tasha Silver's It's Not Your Money. And
it's a great book.
And Jen Sincero's You're a Badass at Making Money.
Right on. So it's time for your guest solo. Tell me what's exciting in your business.
What is most exciting, I think, is we sold a large pilot to a humunga bunga company that is a household name. So we are really excited and proud. And now we've got to, scale it and do all the work to get it, to do it really, really well. So it's a fabulous opportunity. People want what we got, and that's a really great feeling.
Yeah. And in terms of listeners, if there are parents or moms, expecting moms, new moms listening, the program that Sarah's talking about grew out of this program we created called the Expecting Moms Online Program. And it is an incredible virtual program that you can access from your phone, from your iPad, from your computer, from anywhere. And the idea behind it is that it supports parents. And we started with moms specifically, since they're the ones who often deal with the greatest amount of physical change and shift. You go to HR, you say to them, like, I'm having a baby, or if you own your own business, this is a great place for you to start the conversation about planning for your leave, supporting yourself and supporting your baby and family and co-parenting partners through the leave, and then how to return to work. And it's not just a program for home, it's a program to deal with your direct reports, the people that you work with, the people you share projects with, how to communicate with your employer, how to make the most of your benefits, how to create boundaries. Because I think a lot of young women who are career women are really working overtime already, and then they're trying to figure out how to fit it all on one plate. It is an exceptional gift. It is the program that I wish I had. I used to be a full-time screenwriter, and I didn't have any kind of support. I worked from home. I had my own independent contractor business, and I had some postpartum stuff. I had some health issues that required surgery, and I ended up giving up my career in order to get healthy and to take care of my son. And so this is the program that we all wish we had when we were new moms, because you don't really know. It's like hiking the Appalachian Trail. You don't really know what it's like until you're on the trail.
Yeah. And then you realize it's a lot harder than you expected it to be.
Yeah.
So
Nobody told me.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we find out more about it then?
Oh, LUMOleadership.com. We're on all the social medias. We're even on Pinterest. We don't even know why, but we're there.
And Sarah makes some great TikToks. So LUMO Leadership on Instagram, on Facebook,
all on the interwebs.
Go check out our amazing website that our
British girl did.
Our Google British.
Tim, you've got to tell us what you think, because you do websites.
Yeah,
I do.
And I have some honest but loving feedback.
Very kind but constructive.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Tim, you're awesome. Thanks for doing what you do and making working from home normal and giving people the tools to win and getting to create a great career.
And bringing the spirit of rock and roll, because that's the thing. Like, being an entrepreneur is like being a rock star. You got to make it work. There are ups and downs. It's exciting, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. There's bad notes and good notes, and you got to take them all.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right on. Thank you so much again. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.
Woohoo. And